here's kind of an interesting question, since this decision by the board to establish the independent, again, fire department. It says that one of our audience asked, wouldn't this have been avoided by asking the public to vote on the possible transition through the election to an electoral ballot? That's an interesting idea. Ms. Anderson.
That's exactly what we're doing. Unfortunately, we had to use the recall process to achieve that.
Thank you. Mr. McCusick.
Well, yeah, okay, let's see, here's what's going on. I'll tell you about my background. I got an American Studies degree in college, and oh, that's interesting, all the boss tweet stuff, New York City, and all the funny things that can go on. But now, then I took systems analysis at UC Berkeley Extension, and what I see in this fire board is a fire board that doesn't have its feet nailed to the ground. They're up in the clouds talking about these screwball schemes, and never do you hear the word El Granada or Half Moon Bay or Montero, because it's elected at large, and nobody's paying attention to their constituency because none of them have a constituency anymore. And this is a sickness in the board. That's why it's doing these screwball things.
Thank you. Mr. Alfano, should this have gone to the ballot?
When we went to CAL FIRE, it took 3 months, 2.5 months. There was very little public comment, very little outreach for the community. The prior employees and the community didn't want to go to CAL FIRE. They had 3 1,000-person signature petitions that were denied by the board at the time. The board at the time did not listen to the community and decided not to let the community vote, okay? Fast forward to where we are today, 5 years later, things aren't working. It's our job to make these tough decisions. If we didn't feel we could make this decision and it wasn't the right decision, we could think about talking about putting a proposition on the ballot. But this is our job. It's a tough one. And it's simple when you look at the facts. And the facts are they're not performing. They've had 5 years. We've tried to work with them. And I'll tell you, it was tough being that swing vote on that board when I first joined. But as time went on, it was simple to see, unfortunately, it wasn't working out. And we have another option, and that's to be on our own.
Thank you. Let's see. Mr. McIntosh. Question of going to the ballot.
Yeah, as Mr. Alfano mentioned, that 5 years ago there was a request to have a vote, and it was denied by the board, and we went to CAL FIRE. I expect if that vote had been taken, we would have possibly everybody would know exactly how everybody felt. We wouldn't be here. 3 years ago, this issue was argued, and there were lots of signs up here talking about how taxes were going up. The number 1 person that was opposed to CAL FIRE was Director Riddell. He also was the top vote getter that year. A little over a year ago, Director Alfano and myself said that our job is to get the best possible service for the people of the coast, and that we were very dissatisfied with CAL FIRE. Nobody would even throw their hat in the ring to oppose us on that one. So now we're here and all of a sudden, recall. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Cockrell.
Well, it's unfortunate that what Ms. Anderson said is in fact the case. This is like a referendum now. It's too bad it has to be done in a negative way. It's a negative referendum. I've heard reference to the petitions that were put out before. The Supreme Court doesn't agree with what you're being told up here. The Supreme Court said the petitions were flawed and threw them out and held them invalid. Maybe if the petitions had been written properly and they told the whole truth, people would have had a more informed vote. Unfortunately, they did not. And it went all the way to the California Supreme Court at great expense to the local district, I might add, and great expense to Local 2400, who funded the lawsuit, who the named plaintiff was in fact sitting right next to me, Mr. McIntosh. So, yes, I believe with Ms. Anderson, it is going to a vote of the people, and it's unfortunate it has to be done in a negative way.
Thank you. And Mr. Riddell?
Well, I could see how that could be a possibility, but in reality, I don't know how it would work, because look at the mass confusion on what is going on. I mean, it took years for us to get to this point. This didn't happen overnight. To try to put something in a format that would be understandable for the people to vote on, I mean, it took us years and hundreds of hours to determine what was going on and how to correct this problem. And to try to put it on the ballot, you can already see what's been going on with this election. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So I think it would be difficult to try to put this in a concise form, to put it on the ballot. Not that it couldn't be done, but I think it would be extremely difficult. And there again, you put us here to make those decisions. So, and I don't have a problem making them when it comes to protection of life and property.
Thank you. There's several